All right, so those were, of course, the big headlines this morning. But, of course, our continued focus remains on the election results. West Bengal continues to be a crucial battlefield that the entire country is closely watching. Next, of course, is Tamil Nadu, then Kerala, Puducherry, and, of course, Assam. We've got Mr. R.K. Upadhyay with us. He's continuing with us. Mr. Upadhyay, as far as West Bengal is concerned, there's been a lot of talk about how Mamata Banerjee and the TMC could have been at a disadvantage because of the SIR. But many say that, look, women and the Muslim community both are traditional vote banks of the Trinamool Congress, and therefore she's already starting with an advantage, about 27 to 30% of the Muslim community, and of course the women siding with Mamata Banerjee and the kind of welfare schemes, the money that she's been putting into the bank accounts of rural women, that already is a starting point of advantage for the Trinamool Congress.
Very true, very true. In fact, you see, that has been a strength of Mamata Banerjee. The fact that women are solidly behind her because of the welfare measures that are undertaken, and the Muslims community, of course, because of the open door policy that she has followed, allowing a lot of Bangladeshis to come and settle down in West Bengal, which is of course a very worrying factor as far as the country is concerned. But she has built a vote bank around the Muslims, and now I think it's close to 30%. So she starts with a great advantage there. Knowing that their votes are at the threat, the Muslims have probably rallied around Mamata Banerjee and voted in full measure. They've always voted, up to 88 to 90% for TMC, and probably this time many more would have gone and cast their votes, and also women. So she starts with roughly 32, 33%. So which is a huge number when it comes to these elections. But on the other hand, you also see mobilization by the BJP. BJP has made this infiltration issue, an electoral issue, in a very, very big way. And I think that has resonated among the Hindu population of West Bengal. There's a lot of unemployment in West Bengal. The industries have not come up. Probably the economy is on the verge of collapse. And all these issues has affected the lives of the people.
Mr. Upadhyay, Mr. Upadhyay, we'll talk about the other issues in Bengal, but I just want to dwell a little bit upon this issue of infiltration, something that the BJP has been talking about all through the election campaign. That has been the pet issue that Suvendu Adhikari was also talking about all through the campaigning. Now, the fact is, the control of the borders of India to prevent infiltration from, let's say, Bangladesh in this case, rests with the Home Ministry that is under Amit Shah. With that being the case, how does the BJP accuse Mamata Banerjee of letting in infiltrators into the state? Because at the end of the day, it is the BJP that is responsible to secure the borders of the country. Amit Shah, the Home Ministry, which is responsible. Do you think this is an issue that actually is where the BJP can convince the voters in Bengal that Mamata Banerjee is somehow responsible for the border safety there?
I think she has a point there, because it's ultimately the responsibility of the central government to make sure that the borders are secure. You have to ensure that there is adequate security, in the border areas. We have a 3,000-kilometer border with Bangladesh. It's not easy to secure all of it, especially when the neighboring country is intent upon, letting their people go because of the economic reasons.
Right.
So that being the case, I think Mamata Banerjee has been very, very kind to these people who have come and settled down in West Bengal. But that has led to the clash between the Hindu population and the Muslim population, especially when the resources are limited and the jobs are limited. So that's the reason why I think the campaign being done by the BJP has resonated with the local population, and that could be one of the factors which is working against Mamata Banerjee in this election. Of course, she's tried to fight it out, with her own, goodies being given to the voters, and BJP has been equally, been free in giving out the goodies. So this is a battle which, where we have to see which one wins. It's a battle of perception as well, because a lot of people feel that West Bengal is on the verge of being converted into many areas being converted into Muslim majority areas, and which may not be in the interest of India. So that being the case, we'll have to
Right.
see
Mr.
how the people
Upadhyay,
react.
Mr. Upadhyay, apologies for intervening. We've just gotten early trends on that key battle. Let's put out that graphics once again as far as the Bhawanipur seat is concerned, where the big battle between Mamata Banerjee and Shubhendu Adhikari is taking place. Early trends are showing that Mamata Banerjee is trailing at the moment and Shubhendu Adhikari is leading. These, of course, are only the early trends, very, very early to say what will happen. But that's the first trend, first inclination that we are getting as far as the biggest battle of West Bengal is concerned, Mamata Banerjee versus Shubhendu Adhikari. Remember, Shubhendu Adhikari, of course, being a former TMC leader himself, now pitted against the chief minister. Whether or not he is and has been able to elevate himself to the stature that Mamata Banerjee enjoys in West Bengal, that is something that we'll know perhaps in a couple of hours. But Mr. Upadhyay, early trends, of course, showing Mamata Banerjee. And one of the, arguments that people give is that, look, anti-incumbency is something that Mamata Banerjee has to battle out right now. TMC has been saying because of SIR, our voters have been cut and the BJP is doing it purposely. But the BJP can't be doing anti-incumbency sentiment purposely, isn't it?
That's true. I mean, I think these are very, very early trends, and we can't just go by these figures. Yeah. I think not even the first round is over. So let's wait how it pans out. I think as far as the SIR is concerned, Mamata Banerjee shouldn't be complaining, because this was an exercise which is long overdue, and you can't have a voter list with the people who are dead for years together, people who have moved out of their place where they've been registered as voters and they've been voting from somewhere else, and these kind of things. The election commission over a period of time should have careful in weeding out all this people who are not the real voters. So SIR has not happened since 2002, 2003, which means almost for 20 to 23 years. This cleaning up has not happened. So there has been a lot of garbage in the voters list across the country. And of course, right now it is taken up in 12 states. The Election Commission has taken up this exercise in 12 states. And, probably they'll be completing all this exercise before the next round of elections come. And this was long, long overdue, because you can't have this is the Bible. I mean, the voter list is the Bible. If you have that corrupted, then there is no proper election going on. So that has been done very meticulously by the Election Commission, despite some of the parties going to the courts umpteen number of times and opposing this exercise. But the Election Commission has always been able to convince the court that what it's doing is right. But I want to make one more point here.
Very quickly.
This round of elections, you see, the space for the opposition seems to be shrinking. And let's look at what's been happening in the last 1 year after the BJP came back to power at the center. In the last 1 year, there have been 5 states elections which happened last year, and then now another 4 states plus a union territory that's been happening. And in the last round also we saw Biju Janata Dal losing in Odisha after being in power for over 20 years. So now it's been completely sidelined. And then you have NCP, which has also lost out very badly in Maharashtra. And Uddhav Thackre's Shiv Sena, they've also been very much sidelined. And then you have the latest Aam Aadmi Party, which is in turmoil. 7 of their Rajya Sabha MPs have been poached by the BJP, and they've joined the BJP. I mean, making a mockery of the Anti-Defection Act. So, and then if Mamata Banerjee loses, that will be one more casualty among the opposition. So that way, it's not good for Indian democracy that the opposition is being moved out or shoved out of various places, and the BJP occupying most of the place. It's not good for the country to have just one party rule. We need to see that at least in good pockets we have opposition governments.